What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of EdgeWorks Knife Studio. Today's episode is, it's kind of a two different type of thing. It's a little bit of the sintered versus vitrified, but I'm also going to cover a topic that was asked in the last video. This time I've actually hit record, so hopefully we can progress. So what I want to do in the video after this one is do the comparisons between sintered and vitrified. I'm going to show you the sintered stone today, which we've all seen me do it before, but it's going to help me with something that is going to help me answer the question that was asked. So the question was, why does my diamond 1000 grit stone produce amazing results? But whenever I then proceed to the 2000 grit Kurogane, I think it was Kurogane, does it seem like it gets duller, or it maybe cuts different to make it appear duller? Okay. And one of the things that I mentioned, and this is, so first and foremost, having higher grit stones does not automatically equate a sharper edge. Are higher grit stones used to refine an edge further, make it more keen, and make it essentially sharper? Yeah. But having higher grit stones and using them does not mean you're automatically going to have it just because you use them. It has to do with one of the most important things in sharpening, which is your initial bevel set on the lower grits. There's a couple different things here, and I'm going to cover the two main ones, okay? The ones that I see the most anyway. One of which is the fact that you need to have your bevel, like I said, set on a lower grit. If you have an edge that maybe cuts decently, right? It's most likely because it's super toothy, especially if you're using like a 400 grit or even a 1000 grit diamond, right? So you have like a kind of a tooth, and when you refine it on a higher grit stone, it sometimes will take that toothiness out. It's not every stone will do that. Certain stones just don't have a toothy edge. But basically the thing is you'll have some good results maybe because of a sharper, kind of a jaggedy kind of an edge, right? And when you refine it, it removes it. That's kind of the basis of it. The other thing is diamonds, just by design, they cut the metal more aggressively. That's just the best way to say it, the best way to just put it out there. Whenever you're using a diamond stone, you're cutting that edge with more ferocity than you would a standard ceramic abrasive stone. So if you put a 1000 grit plated diamond stone up against a 1000 grit or a 2000 grit, whatever, standard ceramic, aluminum oxide or whatever stone, you're going to see wildly different results just because of how that edge is created. The diamond is, in my opinion and my experience, going to produce a toothier edge that's going to feel and seem sharper, and that's because in some aspects it is. I'm going to try and demonstrate that today. I've got an alt stone Soisu, which is a 2000 grit stone here. This line is not available in the US. And then I got my Cheefarcuut. This is the 400-1000. I'm going to use the 1000 side after doing the 400 here. The Soisu, while I do have a Kurogane back there, is a very good demonstration because it's an excellent stone, but it doesn't have a wildly toothy edge. It is a resinoid stone, and I can't tell you who the manufacturer. I know who the manufacturer of it is. They don't want me to say anything, and actually, they don't want me to say anything because the manufacturer doesn't want anything said. But what I can tell you is that this stone is the manufacturer is a highly regarded manufacturer of Japanese stones that every one of us know that at least have been in this for a while. They're very appreciated stones. I'm going to try and say it without saying too much. They have 3 grits that I could demonstrate, not demonstrate, that I could tell you, well, one's kind of this color. The other 2 are kind of lighter in color. And one is 1,000 grit and the other 2 are higher. That's what I'll say. Hopefully that's given enough hints away. I will not confirm nor deny, but just so that you know, I'm not just cheaping out here. And I could just go get my Kurogane, but it's not a Kurogane, it's a M15. Same thing. It's 2,000 grit. It's the Japanese equivalent of the 2,000 Kurogane. So this knife is the Hatsukokoro Bunka in Aogami 2. It is dulled. I dulled it by running the edge over this little guy here. This is that cheap little Amazon diamond plate, 180 grit. So it's destroyed the edge, and I ran it over quite a bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a 400 grit edge. Then I'm going to flip to the 1,000. I'm going to do a 1,000 grit edge. Then I'm going to do a cut test. Okay. After I do the cut test, then I'm going to go to the 2,000, and I'm going to show you the difference. Now, whenever it's done with the 2,000, it'll be great for cutting tomatoes and things like that. But cutting a paper towel, you're not going to have as good results, and I'll show you that. So yeah, this is what I was going to do yesterday, but I did not record, and I went through the whole process with a different knife. So the next video, though, I'm going to put the FSK up against the Cheefarcuut and just show the differences in how they create the edge and how that works, as well as other vitrified stones like the Altstone and the Seracs that are vitrified but not diamonds. So we'll get onto that later. But I wanted to answer this question and kind of give some information. Technique is the other thing here. So if you have a mediocre technique, that's going to play a role too. You need consistency across the board to achieve a lot of those things you see a lot of the bigger name people do. Without consistency, you just don't have proper edge bevels is basically it. There is some margin that is there for some error and movement. But ultimately, you just need to focus on your hand placement and keeping everything steady and as even as possible. And that'll give you way better results with any grit that you progress through than it will if you have a substandard technique and move up through other stones. So anyway, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put an edge on this the way that I normally would, at the angle that I normally would. And away we go. Hope you guys had a good week. Mine's been insane. It's been super cold here. I believe winter is arriving rapidly in the Midwest. Yeah, when I sat down to transfer the file yesterday after doing this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But it happens. I've been pretty absent-minded this week. Anyway, so it's just par for the course. Hopefully you guys are all ready for Halloween. Maybe I should do a Halloween video. Dress up like a Whetstone or something. That's so stupid, sorry. My wife tells me all the time, your jokes are lame. It's alright. She married me. I regrets it. Okay. So now what I do is to make sure that my bevels are what I want. I'm going to examine them. You guys have seen me do this before and talk about this before. But I just look at it from tip to heel and I make sure that it looks even. And it looks, you know, not like I don't have a high spot here and a low spot here. The tip is going to kind of be that way, especially if you have one with a curved belly or a giant curved belly. It's going to be harder sometimes to maintain because you're going to have to maneuver. You can. Practice makes perfect, and I can do it, but it's just more of a pain. So what I'm seeing here is I've got a great burr already, and everything looks even. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to proceed to the next side. We're going to do the exact same thing over here. We're going to take it a little slow. And what I'm looking to do with what I'm doing is I'm going to create an edge, and what I should be able to do once I'm done, with the 1000 grit side anyway, is I should be able to slice a paper towel without issue. It might have a couple hangs here or there. And again, that's going to depend on how well I remove the burr. But I should be able to slice the paper towel. And once I'm done with the 2000 grit, I probably should not be able to. And it's going to have to do with the toothy edge versus a non-toothy edge. I'll look at it real quick. We folded the burr over. We have a good burr. I'm going to just make sure this looks fine. I do have a thinner bevel at the tip. That's fine. I'm going to address that right now. Man, 400 grit. It's definitely tough. It makes a little bit of noise. Blend it all in. Now we're going to double check it again. Man, I must have like cut myself. That's weird. How do I do that? I just, out of the blue. Okay. Everything looks pretty even. There's a small little spot back here. Let me just kind of hit it just to see if I can fix it. I'm not that worried about it because I can come back with another sharpening and fix it. It just looks like I wasn't putting enough pressure back there. And it's mostly fixed. It's fine. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a very gentle deburring because this 400 grit will set you another bevel or another burr easy. So I'm just going to lightly give it some edge leading strokes. When I say light, I am talking light. The weight of the knife is essentially what's on the stone. I am just resting my fingers on it to make sure it doesn't bobble and weave. Congratulations, Eric, on 1,000 subs, my dude. Well deserved, my guy. Eric the Cajun Blade. Man, straight razors and stuff, and natural stones, and well, and just stones in general. That dude, he knows what's up. You guys should check him out for sure. Eric the Cajun Blade. Okay, I'm just feeling it. Feels fine. Looks fine, feels fine. I'm going to trust that judgment. I'm not worried about stropping or anything because I'm moving on to the next grit. This is the 1000 grit side of the Cheefarcuut. And we're just going to go ahead and proceed. How many of you guys welcome trick-or-treaters? We used to when the boy was little. My son was, you know, up until he couldn't anymore. We'd always have candy and stuff, you know. And he always liked to hand it out. He almost liked to hand out candy more than he did going trick-or-treating, which was odd. But we don't do it anymore. Old fuddy-duds. You can tell the difference in sound between this 1000 versus the 400. A little schmoover. a good burr. Things look pretty good. I'm gonna give it a couple more passes here. I'm just gonna kind of make certain that we're all on the up and up here. I'm essentially doing this as if I would, you know, do it for myself or a customer or something. Taking my time, going slow, and being intentional about everything that I'm doing. It's very important. Even if you have great technique and you've been doing it for a long time, it never hurts to slow down and just be, you know, intentional. You'll see a lot better results that way. Ask me how I know. Sometimes I'll get in a hurry, a mad hurry, and it'll not be good. And that's me. That's all on me. I could always slow down. My dogs are welcoming someone, it sounds like. All right. Well, my phone is ringing. How about that? I'm going to pause this and I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Had to take that phone call. That was importante. So, let's finish up a couple sweeps. I love the way this 1000 grit side really feels. It's pretty awesome. Okay, we should be good, like beyond good at this point. Yep. Okay, let me dry it off, make sure it all looks good. We're going to check our little bevels. Everything looks pretty even. Kind of a little big, but that has to do with the angle. I mean, not big, but bigger than I do with some. Anyway, that's fine. We're going to do our deburring strokes, and then we'll use a strop. The strop's just going to ensure that I get all of the burr. And I don't think that it won't. But, you know, stuff happens, yo. Also, by the way, I have not been checking my drone shot email because after I got that virus, like a dum-dum, I never set up my Outlook again. Normally, I've got my Outlook where I always export my profiles and stuff. And it's always got the stuff set up and I re-import it because I like to make my life easy. I mean, you don't do this stuff for 30 years and still do things the hard way. Well, I never exported my profile. I set it all up manually. I just forgot. So I haven't checked that email since I contracted that virus. So if you have sent me an email, I am not ignoring you because I don't like you. It is because I'm a bonehead. So I'm going to set that up tonight. Okay. Now we're going to do a little strippy strop. We'll just use this little guy here. We'll use the... Stuff's false. We'll use the coarse side, the rough side. Just get a couple of, I'm sure I got it, strokes here. Okay, that ought to do it. That's about 3 per side. Once again, I'm going to wipe it off any potential crusties. I'm not even going to look at it with the microscope. I'm going to just trust it. All right, let me grab a little piece of cutting paper. I had a bunch of it yesterday. I don't know where it went. Thank goodness I've got endless magazines to tear from. For those of you that don't know, One of the magazines that I use after I read them is my guns and ammo magazines. These are great for this. Read them first, you know. All right. Let's do our first little cut. Man, them Cheefarcuuts are sintered stones, and they be amazing, yo. Just cut like moons and circles, and I mean, anyway, you get the point. So, let me grab this paper towel. Now, this is one of the paper towels that I hate, that I have a problem with. We'll see what this one does. If it's not very good on this, I'll move to the other ones that are a little bit firmer and drier. Come on, you. Yeah, I mean, it's cutting it. I'm gonna get another one because I know this thing will do better than that. Give me a second here. A couple more strippy strops. I felt like it was catching. Do you know me? I don't edit out the mistakes. But again, I hate these, right? But I'm wanting it to do it on this one because when these work, it's all good. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. Oop. As you can see, that tore whenever I... I mean, we're cutting it right there. I wonder if I can do it on the side, just out of curiosity. Yeah, I can. Oh, yeah. We're finding our stride now. Cut well, that sucked, but... So, yeah, all the sides of it, whatever. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do the soisu, which is a beautiful stone, again, by Altstone. That's how you spell it right there. I'm trying to get them to bring this to the U.S. market, but the manufacturer that I was telling you about that doesn't want the name out there of who they are, which ought to tell you, too, they got plenty of business. The problem is production. So these guys that make these for them, make them in small batches, and they're so busy with their standard line that they just don't have time for a super mass production. They'll do it for the Japanese market. With the American market right now, they already have some stones in the American market that are wildly popular. I'll say that again. So the stone was flattened prior to doing this. It is, like I said, it's a resinoid stone. It's a little softer than, I mean, so are its counterparts of their actual name brand. So you can cut into them if you're not careful, if you don't release the pressure like you're supposed to. Which is why I'm going extra slow here, because I've done it numerous times. With their 6K one, if that, you know, I'm trying to drop hints here. Which I love, one of my favorites. Okay. Look at that. Nice and wipes off. And does an amazing job, even as a 2K, of polishing the edge. Let me just give it a couple little... Now, even whenever I remove its ability to do a paper towel cut, this thing is still going to slice vegetables with absolute ease. It's just, it's going to lose any of the tooth that it had from the diamonds. Okay, we got a little tiny burr. I do believe too that if I moved up to the, because the Soisu line has the 2K, 4K, I believe 6K, yeah, 6K and 8K. So if I moved up to the 4K, I believe it may put some of that back. It would not be anywhere near what the diamonds did. That is a fact. I'm being careful to always maintain the same bevel angle. And I can do that on the fly now, but for those that don't know how to do it consistently, you just need to make sure how the edge meets the stone. Just keep your eyes on it. We can go over a video to talk about that, but it's extremely important, because if you start with a whole different angle, you're going to have worse problems than just less toothy edges. The point is to refine that edge that already exists, so you need to follow what it is you've already set with the lower grit stones. Something I might try here, depends on how long this video is I might get that 2000 grit, basically the Kurogane, which is, like I said, the M15. I may get that and see if I use it, if it can actually bring some of that back. Maybe if it's the type of stone that this is that takes off that tooth, and maybe the 2000 won't. I don't know. I do believe this is the problem, though, that the commenter had, is it just wasn't as toothy as the diamond. I mean, I know it probably wasn't, no matter what. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to run it for some stropping strokes. I will also put it back on the strop itself. Okay. Let's bring his back. That's something else I did when I thought I was recording yesterday. I switched the camera angle so I could go back to the stone while I worked on it. And the whole time, all you saw was my face because I didn't hit the button. Like, what the heck, man? I was not with it yesterday, apparently. Maybe I had a mini stroke. I kid. I shouldn't kid about that stuff. Just the rough side of the strop. Ensuring any potential burr is gone still. I'll just wipe that off. Yeah, the video's getting a little long. All right, that's a piece of paper I used earlier. Let's just see. So, it's not as smooth as it was. It cuts like a dream, but it's not like it was. You see that? It's because it wasn't catching in that spot. It's right there in the middle, I think. Yeah, anyway. I'm going to use this little piece that I have left, and then I'll get a new one because it's probably not going to do any justice here, but we'll see. It's not doing it now. And I can guarantee you, if I went back to the 1000 grit Cheefarcuut, that it would be good again. Or if there was a 2000 grit Cheefarcuut, which they are making. Yeah, it's just kind of tearing. No. Now I could do this, you know, and as you see there, while I'm holding it firm, it cuts the paper towel without issue. But it doesn't cut the free hanging paper towel like I did when I had tooth to grab it. So that does show you that the knife is still sharp, absolutely sharp, but it doesn't have the toothy edge from the diamonds. Makes all the difference in the world. I could probably actually, it's gonna be a little long video, guys. I'm gonna do something else just for grins, I do not know what the outcome of this is going to be. And the reason I say that is because we know how these are kind of inconsistent. I'm going to use this. It's a 3000 grit DMD. This is a confirmed DMD plate. It's not a clone. I did confirm that with James. As best we could without him seeing it, I should say. He gave me the keys to look for. Now, what we hear is, and there's your, there it is. This is a resin bonded. People argue that these are not their rated grits, and James agrees. But they're not, this isn't a 1000 grit like they say. This is probably closer, 2600 is a rough estimation, okay? But it is not like people say 600, you know, whatever. And I know there's been major analyzations done on these stones, these diamond plates, whatever. But a majority of what gets tested are fakes. They're not the real deal. So let's just go here. Just do this real fast. It skates though, I'm gonna tell you. I'm not even gonna go like crazy. I'm telling you, I do not know, but I'm pretty sure, being that this is diamond, it should bring back that that cut. Actually, I think people praise the 3000 for being fairly accurate to grit. I think. Like close enough, basically. That was one of the things that threw them off, because they, you know, they said that the 1000 was kind of more like a 600 or so. The 3000 was essentially close enough. 6000 was essentially a 1000, and the 12,000 was like a 5 or something like that. I don't really remember exactly. Okay. Little tiny burr. I'm going to do burr removal. I really should use these a little bit more for certain things. I like them. I don't think you can really get them for a decent price anymore, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but okay. Super quick, down and dirty little shine dine. That's always good. Jam your stones up. Just a couple quick strops, just like I've done everything else, keep it fair. Dry it off. Paper. It's back. That glide, that smooth glide. Oop, got the heel of it. Yeah, you can't poke the corner into it and expect good results. Okay. Oh, that's not good. To be fair, I should probably get a new one. I mean, it just cut it. I shouldn't do it that way. Waste all my paper towels. Don't tell my wife. She'll get mad. Come on, hold on to it, numbnuts. Yeah, well, there we go. It's kind of cutting it. It's a little rough. Maybe I need to strop it some more, but it's doing better than it was with the 2000 grit so it kind of brought back a little bit of the tooth. But as you saw with the paper, it's stupid sharp. You know, cutting trigonometry, which I know is not right. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with it. It has more to do with the toothiness of the edge on whether or not you can cut free hanging. Now, as I said earlier, if you hold it like this and you run the knife down it, or if you had it on the paper towel roll with some tension, absolutely not a single problem at all. It's going to cut a tomato like nobody's business. But anyway, so that's where I stand with that. So the next one, like I said, I'm going to compare the sintered versus vitrified. Show the differences. I'm going to actually do like I said, the alt stones, because they're vitrified, and just give the differences between vitrified diamonds, sintered diamonds, as well as plated diamonds. And then I'll do probably another video with the like the white alumina stones versus non-vitrified stones with ALOX or whatever. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, sorry about the other day. I was just being an idiot. We'll do another one this weekend with the FSK and stuff. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you guys have a great Halloween. You guys mean the world to me. Thanks for tuning in so much. Until then, I'll see you on the Saturday, I believe. Peace.